Apparently this is my thing now, is standing in front of my camera with my butcher block, rolling, cutting board, and doing things, and talking about shit. So, I'm in a full ADHD, get distracted and go look for something. I want to get something out of the way. Alright, so this butcher block cart I got because this apartment has very little prep space. And I tend to work doing tiles, and so I was not having places to prepare food, and I love to cook, and I wanted to remove a block for me cooking. What I have discovered is that I still do not have the bandwidth to cook. Really. I've started doing it more, but not really a thing. I wonder if there's a way to tape these on. Is it too big for? So I did this thing where I mounted these little organizers, I don't know if they're visible on the camera, onto the side, which have like office supplies and tools. So this one's tiny fork screws, this one's magnets, this one's staples, this thumbtacks, batteries, more screws, blah blah blah, drill bits, all that stuff that will fit. These, however, are too big, and I've kept them in here, but I kind of want to start using this space really well. So I use this as a workstation for anything I need. So I'll use it for my computer, I'll use it for prepping food as it's intended, and then I'll also use it for doing pictures, because I do product reviews. So I'll use this as a way to do product reviews. The bottom of the drawer is raw, the sides are not, and not accidentally, unknowingly oiled them before and made them really sticky. And I probably just did that again, which is not cool. This knife block came with this, and I hate it, and Marie Kondo says I should get rid of it, but I just had a really hard time with that idea. It will work, or, well, it will work to store my knives in here. I've had a real hard time with knife storage. They're currently attached to the side of baskets that I have mounted on my backsplash with magnets. Because I visited Portugal a million years ago, and I loved they had the bars with the kitchen tools hanging from them. It was just beautifully done, and I always wanted something like that. But unfortunately, when you're renting, your options are limited without causing destruction. So, and by budget. So what I'm doing right now is oiling stuff. I started with oiling the top here. I don't actually use the butcher block to prepare food because because I like it being nice. And also because I use it for as a workstation and everything. And so it's also not, like, I thought about washing it, but I didn't want to wait to oil it. So it's also, and this has had like packaging and stuff in it. So I wouldn't, I say this as I put everything on top of here. I wouldn't really want to prepare food on this unless I cleaned it. And I didn't want to put off oiling until later, because with ADHD, you do things when you have the inclination. So right now, I have the inclination to oil things, and so that's what we're gonna do. And realizing how much meh was on the cutting board, I probably will need to wash all of these after I oil them and they dry. I'll need to wash them again, even though they're all clean. So, yeah. I don't clean and organize in a neurotypical way. And I have found for myself that trying to do things in a neurotypical way is not just inefficient, but paralyzes my ability to function. It is the antithesis of how I work. And so one of the things that I've realized with ADHD is that tracking is going to be always a very high cost activity. And so I choose not to. So what I mean by that is when I come into a room and I forget why I'm there, I do whatever I see. Or if I get distracted by something new, I do whatever I see and I don't worry about it. I don't stress about it. I don't care that I came into the room to get a t-shirt or hang a t-shirt up or something like that. And then I saw that the sheet needed to be folded, and then I fold the sheet. And then after I fold the sheet, I can't remember why I came in there in the first place. But I see that I accidentally carried in a dishcloth, which doesn't belong in my bedroom. It belongs by the sink where I store my dishcloths. So I grab that and I bring it out, and then I'm out here, and then I see something and I realize, oh, that's what I was going to do in the bedroom. And then I either go in the bedroom to do that, or I grab something else to take into the bedroom with me so that no trip is wasted. And then I get into the bedroom and I forget again, and I repeat this for 5, 10, 15, 20 times. But it's okay, because the whole time I'm cleaning and systematizing, and so it doesn't matter if I get the thing that I intended to do in the room done, because it's going to get done because I'm doing everything at once. And so I don't worry about going room to room to room and not completing the original reason I went in there, because I'm going to keep going in that room, and eventually I'm going to run out of other things to distract me and stay focused long enough to get the thing that I needed to do done. And it's created a lot of capacity for me to be able to do more, because I am no longer using my cognitive energy to remember why I'm there and then going back and forth multiple times, because sometimes when the ADHD is strong, it can be 6 times without completing a task, where you're like, say I kept my laundry detergent in my bedroom. I don't, but say I went to do laundry, and then I'm like, oh crap, my laundry detergent's in my bedroom. And then I go to the bedroom to get the laundry detergent, but then I forget, and then I come out because I'm distracted, and then I come out and then I'm distracted by something else, and then I see that the laundry, the washer door is open, and I'm like, oh crap, that's what I meant to do with that. So I can spend a lot of energy running in circles, getting distracted, and trying to remember the one thing, or I can just go with the flow that I don't track and don't have working short-term memory, and that's not a flaw, that's just how my operating system is. And so I do everything all at once, and I don't worry about doing any specific singular thing I intended to do. Well, that's definitely not clean anymore. And good gosh. And so I so hoped these groups would hold this, but apparently not. Well, that one, side one's not long enough, but the back one is. And so I just do thing after thing after thing, and then everything is done. Like, everything ends up picked up at once, and it works really well for me. Now, to be clear, when I moved into a 1-bedroom small apartment, life got so much easier. It's just me and my dogs, and I've got horses elsewhere. And so when I do this, I'm not having to cover a 5,000 square foot house or a 2,500 square foot house. It has really opened up my capacity to live in a smaller area, because I used to try to make tea, and it'd take me 6 hours to make a cup of tea, because I would forget why I went to the kitchen, and then I would not go back for a while, and then the water would need to be reheated, and then I would forget for another couple hours, and the water would need to be reheated again, and so it would take me forever and ever and ever if I was like busy, or I never actually accomplished making tea, which is one of the things I put like collagen or local honey because I have some seasonal allergies and things like that. So I try to load up my tea with things to support my function, and also it's an act of self-care, and my teas are usually something that's like good for me because like turmeric really helps with pain, but it has to do with black pepper, so I love chai tea. So tea is a really central part of me doing things that maintain my function. So not getting to the point of making tea. It's 4:30. This is my first cup of tea of the day, and I think I made it 2 hours ago, and I was gonna go to the barn, which is why it's in this enormous mug thing instead of a travel mug instead of an actual mug. And then that's just not gonna happen because I started picking up, and my dog has a really severe UTI, and so I feel like I need to like not leave her for very long. And I had to wash a bunch of stuff because with UTIs, you end up with a dog who has incontinence. And so it's a lot, oh my gosh, of laundry, huh? And so, and today's Sunday, so tomorrow's a work day. So I just, and it, you know, it's the end of November, so it gets dark really early, and it's an hour drive to the barn. And so I just decided not to go, even though I really wanted to go, and I didn't do anything with my horses yesterday. I did something with another horse. Did a bunch of body work and confidence building with another pony. But I didn't do body work and confidence building with my ponies, and give them love and attention that they deserve. Anyway, so instead of fighting your brain and trying to have working memory, or using what working memory you do have as someone with ADHD, to remember why you came in the room, jump from task, own it. The things, there's a meme that came across my LinkedIn, and it said disabled by society. And that is so incredibly true for autism and ADHD and neurodivergent. Because my inability to function is because the way that I function is the antithesis of how society is designed. I think systemically, and I jump around, and people who are neurotypical can't even track. And they have working memory. So like, this isn't a like, I'm better than them type thing. This is, they have a different set of strengths than I do. But their society is set up for their strengths, which are the opposite of my strengths. And so, stop trying to do things the way you were taught, unless it actually works for you. And let go of this concept of the right way to do things. I am really into organization and design, and I will Rolodex through a bunch of things depending on the specific goal of the day. So like, I'm not saying I'll never stay in one room and sort things out, because if my goal is to get one room cleared out because I have a guest coming tonight, you know, that might be what I do. But generally speaking, I bring everything up all at once rather than trying to focus on a single area. And it can feel very overwhelming and defeating because it doesn't look like you're making progress, right? Because you're like, everything's still a mess and nothing is done. But as you put in your systems and things work better and you get practice at this, it gets easier and easier and easier and easier. And then you can have the house go from being completely buried to nice and supportive and lovely in like an hour or two. I mean, I do it depends on what, and I follow the dopamine. I do whatever I feel called to do, what I really want to do, right? So, and I tie my wants to the intent, so, and to condition management and what dysregulates me and what makes me feel happy and joyful and all that. So, like yesterday, I didn't intend to do my dishes before I left the house, but they were like in the way of something I needed to do, and so I ended up doing my dishes. And because they were in the way of something else that I wanted to do, it made them from a chore that I did not have bandwidth to something that I wanted to do, because it was a block. And so I do purpose-oriented or outcome-oriented tasks, and because everything is a system and everything depends on other things, that means that everything gets done, and then everything ends up done all at once. And then I look around and I'm like, oh, I washed all of the bedclothes for the couch yesterday and dried them and then reassembled the couch. It's like all of the pillowcases that I put on to protect the couch cushions were clean yesterday. They're already gross because I have dogs. But the sheet that I put over my infrared heating pad mat thing, that's clean. This blanket's clean. There's a blanket over the couch to protect the couch. That's clean. Then I've been wanting to oil my kitchen wood items for a while, and today I just was like, well, if I'm not going to go to the barn, I feel like doing this. And then I started with just this, but then I was like, well, I've got the oil out and I've got the rag, and the rag is kind of a block because it kind of ruins the rag and it's a pain to get all whatever. So you do kind of need to stay in place if you want to be efficient if you're doing this. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do all of it. So then I got my other cutting boards and like a wooden spoon that I have and stuff. Earlier I had a few dishes in the sink. I didn't really want to do dishes, but I wanted my sink to be empty. So there was also some dishes in the dishwasher. I can wash my dishes because most things that I own will get ruined if they're sent through the automatic cycle. And so I was like, well, but if I want to wash those and I don't want to get the dishes that are already dry wet, then I need to unload it. So I'm like, I'm gonna just unload what's here because there's only a few dishes here. I didn't want to do that, but it became something I wanted to do when it was going to get me closer to a goal that I wanted. Because dopamine is so important. Reward circuits are so important. So I did not want to change and wash all the linens on my bed, but my dog has a UTI and peed the bed last night. So everything, which is gonna be like 4 loads, because I don't normally wash my mattress covers. I don't normally wash my duvet, or I don't normally wash my down comfort. I usually just wash the duvet. So it's a lot of loads. There's like a sheet load, the duvet has a zipper on it that will put holes in things, so I always wash it by itself. And then the down comforter will get feathers on things, so it gets washed by itself. And then I wash things separately that are like colors, and so it ends up being a lot of loads. But because of that, I had left stuff in the washer that I just didn't have the capacity to deal with because it needs a special kind of detergent, because it was shoes that I had gotten really muddy, and then something for the horses, and it needs like an enzymatic free and clear type laundry detergent, and I don't know if I'm out, but I think I am. And so they've just been sitting in the washer for a day and a half. I put them on like a rinse cycle, I put them on a wash cycle, but without soap, to just get the dirt and mud off from the barn. And then in the dryer, I had a full load of clothes that were ready to be put away for the last day and a half. and just did not feel like it. And also object permanents forgot they were there until I needed clothes that were in there. So I ended up, because of the dog, that created a motivation for me to change the sheets completely out and then wash everything and clean everything. And I put 2 mattress covers on my bed just for this type of thing. We've been battling this UTI for years now, and she just got off antibiotics a couple weeks ago, and it was better for that time, and now it's back. And I didn't have the means to take her into the vet when we were supposed to, which was like 5 days after she stopped her antibiotics, to like check and do whatever to see what we could do to keep her feeling good and healthy. So thankfully I have 2 thick mattress pads so it doesn't soak through the mattress, but because I was stripping the bed fully, which was not something I would have done, something I only do every couple of months because it's a lot of laundry and a lot of work, and I can't like make the bed until everything that's a base layer is done, and so it creates blocks. Anyway, so I sprayed down the mattress with an enzymatic cleaner, and it's just drying right now, you know. And then a load just finished drying for one of the mattress covers. I've got the other one was in the load and is only partially dry, so I'm gonna throw it in to finish drying it. I don't know if this is ADHD, I don't know if this is autism. I'm guessing this is autism because I just I have a way and a system of doing everything. And so I'm just really conscientious and careful with my stuff when I have bandwidth. And when I don't have bandwidth, my stuff gets ruined and destroyed, which really sucks, but it is what it is. It's part of why I have systems, is so that I don't break things or damage things in my low times by just throwing them in a doom pile and then having them get ruined. I have been breaking glassware and ceramic like nobody's business. I don't even know the last time I like really broke a dish prior to like a month ago. Within the last like 6 weeks, that's not true. I've chipped mugs, but they tend to chip really easily because the ceramic isn't high quality. I chipped like a Mikasa plate, which is, I only bought one because it's just me and so there's not a lot of storage. So like I only have one of this plate that I like that I got from TJ Maxx. And then I broke a pint mason jar, like a ball, so name brand, and a quart mason jar within a week or 2 of each other, which I have never broken a mason jar, other than I think one time I had like one kind of like pop apart when I was canning a million years ago, but like that's it. I've never broken one. And then I chipped a Pyrex glass. I have had these Pyrex glasses since I was like teenager, early 20s. I mean, I think some of my Pyrex I bought when I was in Florida working on a farm when I was 21. And so I've just been breaking things right. I don't know, like, and I'm conscientious and I'm careful. My guess is that when you do trauma therapy and when you're doing this, you're actually creating new neurology and you're building like new neural networks and stuff. And what I've discovered in the course of doing therapy is that I will lose the ability to speak when I'm like building new neurology. This is of course theory, because like how am I gonna prove it? But I will lose function in certain areas, and I think that I was building some area out and abandoning or not using an area that has to do with like depth perception or handling objects or like sensory ability to like whatever. Don't get me wrong, stuff gets slippery when it's wet and on the sink, but this is an excessive amount of breaking things for someone who is really conscientious and really careful and terrified of getting cut by like a mason jar, like if I'm cleaning it and it breaks around my hand or something. So it's definitely not it's something that I'm really conscientious and careful of. So for it to happen anyway, to me says there's like an underlying additional factor. I also so that time I just knocked this off. Now I've always done stuff where I knock stuff off, but I also sent it didn't break because I have a mat on the floor, but I hit my tea mug and sent it flying all over the floor, which would be why my rubber mat was now hand washed today with just diluted dish soap and water, because I spilled tea with apple cider in it all over the mat and it was sticky. So the other thing is rather than beat myself up for this stuff and stress on it, I look for the blessing in it. So when I break something, there's an my two favorite bowls, matching bowls, got from TJ Maxx. They have flowers on them. They're cute. Or anyway, I chipped both of them within like a week of each other. Well, I think I chipped one, and I think when my mom was house sitting, one got chipped. But regardless, they're both chipped. Now, that could just be the quality of what they are, because things break down, and so if both of the same thing break at the same time, sometimes that's just like a quality thing of time and age and them getting like brittle or whatever. But still, for someone who has not chipped or broke a dish for years, I've chipped multiple coffee mugs that I bought new, but they were like cheap ones, cheaply made ceramic, cheaply designed ceramic from like Ross. And then my meat pasta plate, which is my favorite, my two favorite bowls, both chipped, two mason jars, knocked off a coffee mug that would have broken, chipped a Pyrex bowl that is like 20 years old and was tough. And then I think there's another mason jar that I actually like cracked. It just was still usable because I use it for storage, not for canning. And this is all since September, and it's like the end of November, after years of not breaking much of anything, and being very careful when I do my dishes. So don't know why I went on the tangent. Yeah, all of that. The end.